Check. 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 Check, check, check. 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 One. Do. All right. This is okay. Here we go. RickCast number 60 on this Saturday afternoon. Discuss procrastination. At some point, crossover to you just have to enjoy what you're doing, I guess. Aren't you supposed to be at a wedding, eat pie? What happened to the wedding? I would feel a little out of place at any religious meeting, which a wedding, it's borderline, but it is a religious meeting usually, if it's done by religious people. No. Wow. I had some help. I don't know. He's still around. All right, whatever. Total 5 minutes. What are the costs for this project? Deep, 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 deep. You have to give up your life. You have to sacrifice your own existence. far as I can tell. Probably not. Uh, I lost it. I mean, it's in here somewhere, but it's in this room somewhere. If you can find it. Uh, Trump but's easier to modify. Really? I've heard this. Actually, I've heard this before. Like that's why MIT is in a really cold place. You're just stuck inside all the time, writing code or whatever. Okay. All right. Starting 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. Starting RickCast again. Starting RickCast again. That would have been a weird start if I'd used that. So, RickCast number 60. What's the topic for today, folks? Dude, I mean, the whole fucking Marvel, in the last movie, half of the Marvel universe died. So who even gives a fuck at this point? They're going to have to restart anyways. I mean, you already know that much. They're going to have to reboot the story anyway. They might as well because X-Men already rebooted. So why don't they just reboot everything along with it? It's probably what they're going to do. I mean, Iron Man can't just keep being Iron Man when he's like 70 years old anyways. To accomplish, to survive, to grow as a species. To experience happiness, to experience pain, to experience anything, to jerk off, to write code. Understood, yeah. Okay. Likewise. Jew it up. Jew it up at your wedding. Maybe there's some investors there. No, but there's a pair of shears on Trump now. I mean, it should be good enough. What? I don't even believe you, man. You're exaggerating. Oh, how did he express it? What did you say to her? What did you? Interesting. I wonder. Uh, I wonder if the Jewish people are. I don't. I don't. I mean, compared to Jehovah's Witnesses, I was just thinking, like, are the Jewish people as rejecting of others as Jehovah's Witnesses are? I would guess not. Actually, they're more accept. I think Jewish people are more accepting than witnesses. Hmm. Marxism is the belief that Jews are superior in human character or ability to non-Jews. Well, well, well. Well, they're cool in Spaceballs also. Okay, fine. By 13%. No, I think they're ending the Marvel universe. All right? They have to be. They're going to start it over. They're going to start it over. It doesn't really end, but they're going to start over. It's when Dr. Xavier died in the X-Men, but then he came back to, but that was stupid. He just came back to life randomly. But the point is they're restarting the thing. It's time for everybody to die. I hate to break it to you, but Thanos would kick Iron Man's ass in any realistic situation. No, he's not. Thanos is actually pretty smart, and there's only so much you can do with like gadgets and gizmos fighting against the Titan. Mm-hmm. I already ate my beans. See this? I got desperate. I didn't have a can opener. I had to use the shears to open this can and get the beans out like an animal. But I did. Government's not giving me money. The government takes as much money from me as it gives Vogs, I think. I'm basically just giving all my money Vogs. No, it's a lot more than that. I'm paying for like a whole bunch of boxes. Illegal immigrants don't get as much money as legal people. Whatever, man. I don't know what the numbers are, but it doesn't really. It's like I don't believe in immigration being illegal, really. Oh, please. They do jobs that nobody else wants to do at a really low cost. That's why megacorps keep using them. Ugh. Ow. It's a tomato. Oh, give me a break. The only, I mean, really, as long as you don't get too carried away with welfare. If you don't get too carried away with handing out welfare, it doesn't really matter if there's infinite immigration. No, he's actually doing some stuff for real. Yeah. He's a homeless, but he's employed but homeless. In fact, only barely homeless. More like roomless. Start working. Mm.
The webcam is fucked up.
All right. Money they would have to pay me off to go. Yeah, increases lifespan actually. Okay. Oh, here we go. I don't know. It's not. It's normal. Not like your mutated heart. Uh. You've heard that thing, right? There's a certain number of beats. Most animals live a certain number of heartbeats, no matter what the size. I I figured it was just like a rule of thumb. But okay. It might not even be a good rule of thumb. Uh, so, what does that matter? I mean, what's your point? Are you saying that rule of thumb is invalid because of that? I didn't say it's a rule of thumb. It doesn't. It's as long as it's correlative. It doesn't matter if it's causative. So the logic doesn't necessarily matter. If the number is actually correlated, you can still use it as a rule of thumb. But if it's not correlated, then you can't. And I haven't really researched it enough to say that it's. Well, yeah, but some more than others. All right. That was funny. I'm not in caloric deficit. I would be hungry if I was. I just ate peanut butter today. I ate like a peanut butter sandwich. It's got calories and shit. Whatever. Yes, I did. You just didn't see it. Uh, you could definitely, theoretically, you could definitely build muscle off of peanut butter sandwiches. Well, if you only ate peanut butter, true. But I'm just saying, I think the peanut butter and whole wheat bread combined probably cover most of your bases. The treat stream is working. RickCast.com treat stream. Probably. Oh, that site. I was wondering, like, where did that come from? It's offline. What? Everybody who sees. Oh, it's Soto. And LT3. All right. Rick's Treat Stream. What do you mean it's offline? Oh. How do I tell it that I'm online? Fucking A, man. I don't. Treat Stream has like the worst interface ever. I can't set it up on stream. I'll literally everybody will leave while I'm trying to figure out how to get Treat Stream to work. It's cost $25 to order a pizza. So that's 2,500 funded. So it has to go up to like 40K. Oh, here we go. You mean like a $5 slice, maybe? So, what's the topic for today's RickCast? It's your show, people. It's your show. I'm just a medium for transfer. Yeah, everything's a ripoff in San Francisco. But they pay you more, so whatever. It all averages out. It all averages out. Yeah, but nobody. You don't make minimum like. Let's see. Let's see. Wow. Does Starbucks really only pay like practically minimum wage? You get different cultures. You get different cultures, just like Norwegians and stuff. No, I'm actually from this southern Georgia. I was born in a city where I'm pretty sure that whole city was like 80% funded by welfare. The richest person in town was like somebody. The richest person in town was like gaming the welfare system, basically like selling drugs, selling like legal drugs to welfare people. Oh, in Quitman? I'm talking about Quitman, Georgia, and no, they don't even know what biotech is in Quitman, Georgia. When my parents got there, they still had segregated water fountains and that was like probably 1970, something like that. No traffic lights. They got some like later on, but originally no traffic lights. Sexy. There's a lot of cities in Georgia that are like just small. Georgia has a lot of cities, but still a pretty small population. Atlanta is just an exception. Hmm. Yeah. Georgia is where you go to survive when nuclear holocaust blew up all the cities, if that's what you mean. So, what's the topic for RickCast today? That's not really a topic. I guess I've got some stories about pizza. See, when I was a little kid, my parents, actually, even before I was born, my grandfather, after he immigrated, what do you mean? Why? Uh, after he, well, it's called the anthropomorphic principle because you're experiencing something and all the events in history had to lead up to the point that you are experiencing. Uh, my grandfather immigrated here. Yeah, this is a crazy thing, Bollocks. Everybody immigrated here. They're all immigrants. Uh, theories are just theories. Evidence is just evidence. Huh. You feel Asian. You do have that native, that native Canadian, whatever you call it. The native Canadian is actually Asian. It is actually Asian. So you're 1/4. Um, she drinks enough for anybody. Trust me. She drinks enough to be Irish. Like a pint of beer for breakfast. No, she just has that tolerance. For breakfast though, that's not to get that's not to get drunk. That's just to like wake up. Um, let me think now. So back to pizza. My grandfather immigrated over from Greece and started. He ran like a speakeasy during Prohibition. He had like a speakeasy basically, and he made money. Like it's amazing to me that somebody could come here from another country, set up like a brick and mortar business, and actually make money at all. It seems like almost impossible, but that's what he did. And then made a bunch of money, and then he decided to become religious. He was running like speakeasies, like like restaurants in the times of prohibition, basically. So he was making, I guess, with my robot pimping business, kind of following in his footsteps of mafia like mafia like businesses. Well, whatever. What? uh, like restaurants and stuff. No, don't go. Like restaurants and stuff. This doesn't apply. I'm just kidding around, Seto. All right. So he came here. Yeah, and then he like changed his religion to Jehovah's Witness. Seemed like a good idea, right? Uh, and then he started like traveling around, uh, preaching the good word, so to speak. And he ended up breaking up with his original wife because she was too worldly, I would say, probably. You know what worldly means? When you're a witness, worldly means worldly. When you're Jehovah's Witness, worldly means everything except Jehovah's Witnesses. Worldly. So then, and he remarried somebody else. Now, when he remarried somebody else, that was a witness, obviously. That woman, Mildred, had two children, my mother and my aunt. Just hold on. Yeah, Mildred. No kidding. Exactly. Um, you could start reusing. I think Mildred is old enough that you could use it again now, and it would work again. It's like recycle. It's recycled. It's recyclable. And then uh, my dad, his grandparents immigrated from Italy. Uh, okay. So, anyways, they're setting up Um, are you saying that the stream is not working? No, I know that it's working because I'm watching. I don't believe you. Because I'm watching it right now through the site, and it unless you guys just happen to have a bad server or something, try refresh. Refresh. There's no reason for it to prioritize me. All right, now, so my parents made a restaurant. See, it made sense now. My grandfather knew how to make restaurants, so my mother started making a restaurant. Now we're getting to the part about. Oh, I don't understand why. How could it? There's nothing special about me as a client on here. So if I'm refreshing it and it's working fine, working fine, working fine, why would it be bad for anybody else? Is it working, Bollocks? All right, so are we back working? Are we working? About what? All right. I told you not to go. I told you not to go. It's pretty good, actually, I would guess, because they tend to get married. They're not allowed to have sex. They're not allowed to have sex unless they're married, which means they get married. And once they get married, they get bored. And then once they're bored, they start having kids. They go hard when they get married, you mean? Probably. What does going hard mean? Oh, probably. Probably, yeah. You can look that up, man. I'm just saying, based on my observation, it's actually pretty high. Just okay. So then back to the restaurant. Um, my parents made pizzas. Now we're to the pizza thing because they made pizzas at their first restaurant. One of their main things was making pizzas and subs. And I actually helped make subs when I was like 5 years old. I was helping making subs. Yeah, I mean, actually, a pizza is not hard to make at all. Although some people, if it's not hard to make, maybe that just means I'm good at it. But honestly, it's really not that hard to make. If you have sauce, if you make your own dough, I mean, I could make dough too. But if you make your own dough and I've never made sauce before, actually. That is a bit of an art. Where are all these users coming from? Press 1 if you're not from Reddit. Did you post on Reddit? Oh, you did? Oh, cool. Cool. I don't believe this 26 though. It just came out of nowhere. And you guys should have better things to do in Newgrounds. Uh, we are discussing. All right. Come on, name a topic. No, we were talking about pizza. And I was saying I was just going to like story time mode because that's all I could think about for pizza. But my parents made basically arguably the best pizza in the world. I mean, whatever. It would be hard, but it was at least it was certainly the best pizza. It's the best pizza in the city anyway. Whatever. It's actually hard to win like a worldwide competition, so I'm not really saying that, but there are people that go to my parents' restaurant now and say it's the best in the state. They don't say I'm not saying I'm not saying that it's the best in the world, but arguably the best in the state. Not pizza now because they don't make pizza anymore. You have to eat it when it's just made. I mean, honestly, if you don't eat it when it's fresh out of the oven, see, my dad makes the bread and makes the sauce and makes all the stuff, and you have to eat it all when it's just made. Well, yeah, it has to be, and if you don't get it when it's all freshly made, it's not really not the thing. But yeah, compared to that, like Domino's is garbage. I mean, garbage. It's not even really pizza, just like substitution. No, if you think Domino's Pots is great, I feel sorry for you. But yeah, if you grew up eating Kraft dinner, if you grew up eating like Kraft macaroni and cheese as an actual meal, then I guess Domino's would appear to be like real pizza. But trust me, that's like from going to like level -2 to level -1. Oh, what's KD? Kraft dinner is an Kraft dinner is an oxymoron. No, no, it's not cheese. Cheese product. Peanut butter is peanut butter is whole food. I can't even imagine like the level of chemical processing they have at a company like Kraft. Well, at least you could probably leave it on the shelf for years. It probably has like infinite shelf life. I mean, craft probably has like virtually infinite shelf life based on the fact that even like bacteria and microorganisms are unwilling to eat it because of chemical makeup, but a human will. So you figure that out. Smoking a cigarette. 1 year old thing. So sad. So sad. I thought your girlfriend forced you to go to the wedding, Kai. I mean, that's the only reason I could think of that you would even go to begin with. But then you're like, no, you're like, I don't really believe in what's the, I think weddings and stuff are kind of, I don't know if weddings are really my favorite thing. Not my favorite kind of party. Uh, all right. What's another topic? New topic. It's your show, people. Oh, beer. I knew a guy that made my one of my musicians friends back in San Diego. He was a really good drummer, right? So he like played drums in a few different bands. Um, but his family also owned their own restaurant slash brewery. So they actually made the beer like actually I'm pretty sure it was a brewery technically, but it also functioned as like sort of a restaurant. Uh, but they made their beer there. You could see like big things of grain and stuff sitting around. What was it called? Aztec beer in San Diego. Really good stuff, from what I heard anyway. I'm not a connoisseur, so I can't say. Uh, corn? Why would you put corn in it? It's like right? Hops, something like that. Oh, I see. I don't know. To me, beer doesn't really taste that good, and if I'm just going for alcohol, I can just drink alcohol. I can just, if I just want the effect of alcohol, I would just drink some sort of concentrated alcohol. It has a little bit of a taste to it, and it's not really that good. So it's like, I don't, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, functionally, it makes sense. Functionally, that's exactly. I think it's just a mix. I think the thing is, for some reason, people can't get through their head that This is actually what I think. For some reason, with people who, I don't know, people who drink, they don't understand, like, this is so simple, but it doesn't matter. This is what people who drink don't really get. People who drink a lot, like, they don't really get. I just said that I don't. I just said that I don't. I'm saying that people who do drink a lot don't seem to get this. I don't drink, so I do get it. I know I don't drink, so I do get it. People who don't drink, do drink, don't get it. You understand? 1001. Okay. I'm saying people who drink a lot don't seem to get something that I'm about to say, but people who don't drink a lot probably do get it because they're not connected to the thing, basically. They're not emotionally connected. I know I'm not emotionally connected. That's why I get what I'm about to say, which I haven't said yet. Do you understand the lead up now? Do you understand the lead up now? No, I'm just saying, do you understand the lead up? I'm saying people who drink a lot are too emotionally connected, therefore they don't get something. The people who don't drink do get this because they're not emotionally connected. Do you understand the lead up? Okay, so Pain understands it. As long as one person understands the lead up. Okay. Forget it. It doesn't even matter. I haven't even said it yet. Uh, mm, uh, now people. I know. I don't drink because I'm superior. I'm superior to people that do drink. Terrible at what? I'd be terrible at what? Who'd be terrible? I'd be terrible? Why? Just putting on like fat? Just like empty calories? Just empty calories? Blobs of fat? I mean, I would drink more if I liked drinking. Uh, whatever. Oh, you really think putting on weight by with like empty alcohol calories is the way to fix that? Even if I was? Uh, Drinking is technically a drug. I know what's missing? What do you mean? Well, you used to do a lot of things, man. Oh, you know what's okay. I think I understand what you're saying now. Yeah. Um, but anyways, what I was gonna say is that people seem to lose track of, and it's so simple. It's so simple, but people seem to like not be able to track alcohol content. They're looking at like like volume. So they'll be like, there are people who think like it's weird, but people will like drink a certain amount of volume rather than a certain amount of alcohol. I mean, I've seen this stuff happen. They'll be like, oh, it's like if it's beer, because it has the water built in, they're probably not going to drink as much alcohol, right? But if it's like straight vodka, they'll end up drinking more alcohol. But it's kind of stupid because they're dosing themselves. No, I don't have to drink. Do you know that when you're doing science experiments, if you put yourself into the experiment, it tends to be less accurate. You're better off being like you're better off being like separated and observing if you're making observations. No. I never claimed to be a drinker. Did I ever claim to drink? Did I ever claim to be a drinker? Yes or no? Did I ever claim to be a drinker? But yeah, that's what I was saying the whole time. Did I ever claim to be a drinker? When? When? Okay. That's what I thought, bitches. That's what I thought. Anyways, I'm just saying when people are dosing themselves with alcohol at parties and stuff, they seem to do it a lot by volume rather than by alcohol. So, and that itself doesn't make any damn sense. But that's why people will say like, "Oh, I can't drink hard liquor. I get too fucked up." Well, it's not because it's hard liquor. It's because you're dosing yourself improperly. I'm not saying this is that complicated. I'm just saying I see this shit. That that's actually an interesting point. But if Mhm. I know it's mostly stupidity. You mean like with an IV? Uh, like with a syringe into your bloodstream? Is that what you're talking about? I'm not blacking it. I mean, and I don't. I have a hard time even believing that it's blacking out for so many people. By the way, uh, strip clubs are not all they're cracked up to be. Man, you guys are. I noticed that people who use drugs are just like so hateful to people who don't use drugs. Why is that? It's like 100%. I used to have this roommate who was just like total drug addict, like used every drug possible, and she she was so upset that I would not use drugs. She literally took a cigarette and crammed it into my mouth, like trying to get me to smoke. It's not relevant. Dude, once people become like once people reach the alcoholic level, it doesn't make them like more accurate or objective about alcohol. My stream is muted. So you know. Do you think my inhibition is lowered when I'm drunk? It's actually, I think my inhibition's about the same. Yeah. Well. Yeah. There's a reason I don't drink. We've been through it. I made the fucking video, so whatever. Not gonna get into that. Mhm. Any other topics? I didn't bring up the beer topic, by the way. That was our lovely friend Soto. I know. So, I mean, I, who cares? What? I mean, you don't. Okay, so you don't play trumpet. Okay, you don't play trumpet. You don't play trumpet. All right. What's like another topic? What's another topic? What do you think of those non-meat burgers? Oh, wait. Let's come back to this drinking. Do you realize that drinking is not a do you realize that drinking is not actually a skill? It's something that any retard can do by just like drinking. It's not an accomplishment. Well, having kids requires you to at least find a mate, I guess. Drinking doesn't even require that. What's how many layers? I'm just saying drinking is not an accomplishment. And some people think that some people think that building up an immunity to alcohol by drinking so much that you get used to it is somehow an accomplishment. It's not an accomplishment. That's the basis. That's the basis of addiction. Like when you're drinking alcohol and you don't notice it anymore, that's the basis of addiction. Basically. Now, anyways, so what's our new topic? What about toilet paper? How could that be a topic? What would you like? What? What? Hmm. Hmm. I fold it 2 or 3 times. What are you talking about? I can't even answer. These things are getting way. This is getting way too weird. The layers. The layers. Stop talking about beer. New topic. No talk. New topic. I admit wine tastes a little better than it tastes a little better than beer usually. It's a little more interesting. I'm drinking right now. What's another topic? New topic. Do I drink coffee? No. Well, yeah, I do sometimes. I know I drink tea sometimes. In a desperate effort to stay awake, sometimes I'll drink tea, but usually I don't even do that. Why would you leave? I Nobody said anthropomorphic anything. Uh, oh, the anthropomorphic principle. You can, yeah, that will Google. Because just the word anthropomorphic won't do it. Anthropomorphic just means comparing things to humans, but the principle is different. Yeah. Remember, remember that all we ended up buying. remember that we ended up buying just a little tiny thing. No, furries are really just, I'm already kind of furry, but to me, a furry should be a female. You, no, I'm just saying I'm kind of furry. I'm sure a furry should be like a girl with ears, right? A guy with ears is creepy. Well, we've only been hairless for what? We've only been hairless for like maybe 5 million years max. So would you really think that all of the desire for the previous hair version of our species would disappear completely? Uh, I'm not, well, I mean, if you call this furry, I guess. Oh, yeah, a lot of hate for people not doing drugs and drinking. God. Mhm. That's why those poor kids fall with peer pressure. Oh, I'm not accepted by my friends because I didn't do what they I'm not accepted by my friends because I didn't smoke what they smoked. So sad. No, see, I was raised something called a Jehovah's Witness, where you take pride in not doing anything that anybody else does. And they claim to not be a cult. I mean, they actually have a book explaining why how they're, among other things, that they're not a cult, based on the fact that they don't have a human leader. If a cult, it does, it does. No, the witnesses are basically growing exponentially, strictly based on birth rate at this point, I would think. I mean, originally it was, um, man, yeah, that's true. If your ideology has no fertility, it will actually self-extinguish over time. Now, when I get mm, all right, I'm about done. What's another? Is there any other like interesting topic? No, we already talked about pizza. Why do I don't want to talk about olives? Well, so my mother's friend, my mother's lifelong friend, who lived in Florida and had a pawn shop and a bad marriage, had an accordion in her house, along with a bunch of other stuff. Because when you have a pawn shop, here's what happens. Like when you have a pawn shop, you end up having just a lot of bullshit from all the people who left stuff in the pawn shop. So our family friend had just all manner of weird shit, including an accordion. This is often stuff that actually has monetary value, right? Because that's what people pawn. So it'll be like when you pawn something, the pawn shop only gives you like 10% of its value, and they sell it for half if you leave it there. So if you own a pawn shop, you end up getting a lot of sort of high value junk. High value junk is probably the best way to describe it. So one of these things that she had was huh, huh. One of these things was accordion, and I played that a little bit. It was fun. It's like a piano with a bag. Why is usury illegal? Well, the word usury means illegal, some kind of illegal lending. So that's I guess it's illegal because that's the definition of the word. But what I mean is like what I mean is why is high interest illegal? If you sign up for it, if you sign up for it, if that's what you ask for, that's what you get. High energy photons. I mean, what are we gonna say? It's all. A mouse trap for humans. Yeah, I guess so. Is that why it's illegal?
Why should usually be illegal is the real question. It's not illegal. In all forms,
Well, why should a high interest loan be illegal? That's the question.
at least round the unprofitable campus at the time. 2008,
Hard money lending?
which was Christianity.
Which was Christianity?
For the national event speaking level use. The family is taken by public gathering.
I need to take a rest from interacting. Just don't mind me. Don't mind me for a moment.
Humanity is toxic. We understand. We break but live. We must have been vulnerable today. Topic. Third floor. Normally we have ocean as well. But the baby machine is not blinking. You can make people go to one.
Consists of Kareem Riggins and Robert Glasser and myself. But also our collective is Burness, as Abby was saying, and also some more Pender Hughes and DJ Dummy. It's a collective of artists, but the core is the group of the, we want to get into this. Just to release them from the pieces. Macaroons, easy afternoons, shorties buckshot, under black moon, searching yellow suns, undeveloped ones, they get hella guns, feeding melon, the streets where we from, beats heavy drum. Well, wish that I could do eventually if it was meant to be, it would be.
Presents Common. Hi everybody, I'm Bob Boylan. It's an honor to be here in the White House Library. The Tiny Desk concert series has tried to give voice to people who have something to say in our culture, who move our culture forward and do amazing stuff. And in that spirit, NPR Music presents Common. Cheers, everybody.
Yeah. Yes, y'all, and you don't stop until the beat, y'all, and you don't stop. Yes, y'all, and you don't stop. A 1, 2, y'all, and you don't stop. Yes, y'all, and you don't stop. Yes, and you don't stop. Yes, y'all, and you don't stop until the beat time since to be the short shot. Come on, I met this girl when I was 10 years old. What I love most, she had so much soul. She was old school. I was a shorty, never knew throughout my life she would be there for me on the regular. Not a church girl, she was secular. Not about the money, studs like checking her. I respected her. She hit me in the heart. A few New York cats had did her in the park. She was there for me. I'm there for her. Pull out a chair for her. Turn on the air for her and just cool out and listen to her. Sitting on bone, which said that I could do eventually if it was meant to be. It would be we related physically, mentally. She was fun then. I be geek when she come around. Slim was fresh, Joe, when she was underground. Original, pure, untempered now. And if I take, I miss it. Yes, yes, y'all, and you don't stop until the beat, y'all, and you don't stop. Yes, yes, y'all, and you don't stop until the beat, huh? And you don't stop. Yes, yes, y'all, and you don't stop. Yes, yes, and you don't stop. Yes, yes, y'all, and you don't stop until the beat. Tiny Tessa be the short shot. Come on, I might have failed to mention that this chick was creative. Once dude got to her, he altered her native, told her if she got an image, a gimmick, she could make money. She what? She did it like a dummy. Now I see her in commercials. She's universal. Used to only swing it with the inner city circle. She be in the birds with the rock and dress a hippie. And on some BS when she come to the city talking. Popping lock, serving rocks, hitting switches. Now she's a gangster rolling with gangster bitches. Always smoking blunts, getting drunk, telling me sad stories. Now she only messes with the phone. Stressing how hardcore and real she is. Really the realest before she got into showbiz. I did her, not just to say I did it, but I'm committed. Like so many brothers did it, she's just not the same that all them chops do it. See Mark slamming her, taking her to the sewer. I'ma take her back, hoping that the hit stop. Who I'm talking about, y'all? Hip hop, 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 hip hop. The incredible group. It's called A Letter to the Free. And it's from a film directed by Ava DuVernay called The 13th. And it's about the 13th Amendment, how it still says that slavery is alive if you are a criminal. So this whole song piece is about mass incarceration. Just a building, but a method of having black and brown bodies fill them. We ain't seen as human beings with feelings. Will the U.S. ever be us, Lord willing? But now we know the new Jim Crow, the stop, search, arrest of our souls, police and policies, patrol, philosophies of control. A cruel hand take it hold. We let go to free them so we can free us. America's moment to come to Jesus. Come on. Freedom, 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 hold on, won't be long. Freedom, freedom, hold on, won't be long. The cage bird sings for freedom to bring. Black bodies being lost to the American dream. Blood of black being, a past don't see. Slavery still alive, check Amendment 13. Now whips and chains are subliminal. Instead of N-word, they use the word criminal. Sweet land of liberty, incarcerated country. Shot me with your gun, and now you want to stop me. Prison is a business, America's the company. Investing in injustice, fear, and long suffering. We staring in the face of hate again. The same hate they say will make America great again. No consolation prize for the dehumanized. For America to rise, it's a matter of black lives. And we gon' free them so we can free us. America's moment to come to Jesus. Come on. Oh, freedom, freedom comes. Oh, no, won't be long. Freedom, freedom, hold on, won't be long.
Oh, freedom, freedom, hold on, won't be long. Freedom, hold on, hold on. Freedom, freedom, oh, won't be long, won't be long, won't be long, won't be long.
He hides it, man. So yeah, we're blessed to be here. We're grateful to be here. Thank you all. Man, the shot is missed.
Maybe one day we will see.
And world leaders ain't out the norm. Healthcare, paying for
I guess you got to start thinking somewhere. Longer is a good place. Same target.
Bollocks is on his own topic now.
Target. What's the cutest woman in a biggest you
I actually haven't been talking for the last 10 minutes. It's just Bollocks feedbacking with himself now.
I'm kidding.
Cutest woman with the penis. It was actually that one that Micro Nerd.
Oh, not get mom makes me so that
Micro Nerd. I wrote it down, but I don't know where I wrote it down. But there is a woman that Micro Nerd pointed out that looks fine and has a huge penis. It's on Pornhub. I don't know. Is that what it was? What's the full name? What's the full name? I mean, I'm not saying she was like drop dead gorgeous, but yeah. Well, we say that now. What I'm thinking is we make the distinction between natural machines and man-made machines now, as if they're so different. But deep in the future, we won't make the distinction that much anymore. What do you contemplate? Mhm. Are there really still 8 people watching this?
No.
The timer has a 4-minute lag. Well, it's not lag exactly. It's like a 4-minute update rate or whatever. Periodic.
Always.
Yeah.
I can't go. I only have a goal. Can you show me your brother? Just one.
No.
Why not? Please. You can send me a million yen if you want. But you really should be proud of your progress. Millions of generations of your ancestors were naturally selected for your foundation.
Mm,
You are the result.
some things are selected for, some are just kind of like. Some things are just. They're like. They're like side effects. Like having stinky poop is not something that's it's not an advantage really, but it's an advantage for you to perceive poop as being stinky, so you don't eat it or whatever. Well, almost everything's a survival advantage. Well, from what I read, eating boogers is actually fine. Not read, but heard from a scientist, because the way that they're processed in your stomach is pretty safe. I mean, they're dropped into a highly protect that your stomach.
If you want to take home and you can.
No. Your stomach drops the boogers into highly controlled environment, and when they pass through the small intestine, your body can build antibodies for the things that are in the boogers.
More like an environment full of HCl.
I mean, yeah. I'm just saying it's not the same as like introduction into your bloodstream or anything like that. There's a
Viruses prompt antibody production.
important distinction. Yeah, there's an important like separation.
It's like vaccines except without the mercury and autism.
That's how you described it more or less. Yeah. But I was originally told that eating boogers was bad, and then so I was kind of surprised when I heard from a medical doctor / scientist that it's actually fine. It just looks bad to some people.
Just wait until big pharma figures out a way to charge you to eat your own boogers. They'll make you eat boogers to get into public school.
Yeah.
Just wait until you find out who runs big pharma. He already knows. While you're ashamed to eat your boogers, but ashamed to show boogers.
I'm not really ashamed.
Show boogers.
There's just some things don't need to be made into pictures and stuff.
I won't share the pic if you send it in DM. In fact, I'll delete it after viewing.
Right.
I meant you can sue me for sharing.
NDA.
All you have to do is say this is a trade secret. And I can't share anything. I think that
Suing box. That would be a funny one.
a thing and a chainsaw, a tent, and a lifetime supply of meals. doctors are going to reverse their ways in normal. After meats become illegal. Hot choice. I mean, how did they really regulate meat? Same way as always. Eyes bad. 10 Newton vision. Until the message that's going to the internet can be cut off after that. Government. Are meats really any different than political cartoons and free press? These are super. Free press has been replaced by Lutheran press now. If they shut it off, someone will just turn it back on. Unless you're talking like it. Well, it might have some word in my other stuff too. I won't share more of it because I said I will. Because this thing can it fucking can. What out of any piece we do.
Hello.
Just your friendly favorite idiot checking in. It is Dick and Yoga. And I thought I was a favorite idiot. Be my 120.
Are you home now? You still at the Jew wedding?
Yes, it has three again.
Oh, nice.
Surrounded by children. keep chemicals in your food. It's a really hard people allowed to talk to. Nasty girls. TV car. TV.
This is in a command prompt,
TV code.
strangely enough.
Only have our Jewish. TV car. PWP. Chocolate county. Physics girl. Goodbye. Macintosh. PWP. That's a big fucking apple. USA. It's a big fucking head. USA. Utah. The extra volume in food and the extra fantastic and better after that. Food. I kill for some food career. Blue. Chocolate, please. And what did my shit capture me the one that cut off? Why do you never come to me a further on apple? The eternal shoe.
I mean, that's not a terribly bad idea.
Cannibals. That's a fucking awesome idea. Don't stand on apple and blow.
I really just eat them. You know, I really just. You know why I tend to eat like one food at a time, like an egg, peanut butter, apple, avocado. You know what I'm saying? It's like one thing at a time. You know why? Because it's easier. Because it's easier to get it and eat it like that. That's it. And those are all basically whole foods, which are good, right? People that eat combinations of foods, like Kraft dinner, for example. Like Kraft dinner, for example, again, which is more or less an oxymoron, but I use the word dinner loosely. Kraft dinner is a combination of things that's highly processed. Whatever. It's not. You might not. It might seem more normal as a meal, but it's barely a meal at all. Yeah. Exactly.
That's dinner equals kids with me. That's probably with some wrinkles all mixed up. That's dinner equals kids with me. You don't bring out. Robin.
I used to remember when I used to drink on stream a little bit.
Robin. No. You don't bring.
Once I did it and videoed it. Once I did and made a YouTube video, and then the other times I would just like take a sip of that big thing of, what was it, Samuel Adams or something? I can't remember what it was. No, it wasn't Samuel Adams. It was some kind of whiskey or something. Jack Daniels, another guy from history. Yeah. No, I drank the Jack Daniels in small amounts. It wasn't very much. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Hey, Pot. Dog's looking good, by the way. I saw you. Did you like restart? Did you like make one dog and then make another dog from start over?
Hello. She laughed. You don't even ring. Bloody hell.
Now, what I was getting, my whole point was that there's this collection of people who drink a lot. So intuitively, you'd think they would get like all this, they would get, no, the whole point was there are all these people who drink a ton and they should be expert, and they still say stuff that's just kind of stupid just based on, no, that's not the point. Not, there's no subject being changed. I actually brought it back. I mean, the people who drink a lot and should be expert at drinking sometimes still make like really stupid decisions, and
Okay, honey, I can bring a whole bottle of spirits, but all beers not to you. And I don't let her get drinking. I'll do that. Non-intoxicated people make bad decisions.
no, they're not even intoxicated yet, and they're already making bad decisions.
Drinking purity, no idea. You don't keep us living. I think we asked them both 20 times on Roma. New target. Have you accepted your Lord and Savior Oleg?
No.
Should I learn Go? I'd rather learn Go than JavaScript DBA. All languages should be compiled.
JavaScript actually is compiled. George Carlin, right? Unfortunately, JavaScript is I can't stop. Unfortunately, I can't stop JavaScript from being an accepted language. I mean, the whole world tried to stop it and it couldn't.
Yes, you can.
No, it couldn't. JavaScript was the shittiest language on the face of the planet, stuck into Netscape browser, and people just kept using it and using it and using it. And then Google came in, and completely rewrote it to the point that it's like one of the most efficient languages for its type anyway. And people just keep updating it through hack after hack after hack until it's like not quite as shitty as it was. Combined with the fact that I have to let my brain parse that for a minute. Hold on. Node.js is the Google browser in a terminal. Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they took the Google JS engine. V8. Yeah, Node was not really ever supposed to be taken seriously as a real language. It was more like, even the guy who wrote it said, like, don't use this for anything serious. I'm just like fucking around making the JavaScript runnable outside of the browser. And there you go. It got out of hand. So I'm not going to try to stop it at this point. Everybody wants to use it now. So.
I like the idea of it when probably just be used off the head spyware. When as a design, not rarely used. And we can find it on the web app.
That's so disgusting. Go to Wes as.
Photo my big league. Afterwards, fire your messages with code manager.
Mm-hmm.
Lol. you know how I'm talking that comment, but
I don't think he realizes the, yeah, he probably doesn't realize his own accuracy. Da 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 da. Do 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 do.
you don't even bring PT Carlo.
Do 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 do. Now here's what happened. I think what you guys misinterpret. I think that you guys started to misinterpret what I was saying as like. I think this is my best guess. I mean, I don't know what's going through your warped minds. I don't know what's going through your warped minds, but my best guess is you misinterpreted me starting to set up a statement because I was starting to say, well, like people who drink a lot, blah 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 blah. I was starting to say that, and I think you misinterpreted me as like making the claim that like I drink a lot and therefore I have some sort of knowledge of the experience of drinking a lot. I think that was a misinterpretation that the group caught onto and started like just going nuts, right, with comments like that before I even finished the statement, which was, it's just a testament to the fact that you misunderstood what I was saying. It's okay. I mean, to it's okay to misunderstand. What are you countering? What statement are you countering? Also, that statement doesn't even make any. Oh, you drink a lot and don't get drunk. Okay. Okay. What are you countering? To counter that, I get drunk to make money. I'm a professional drinker. I don't think Igpai has ever stated something like, I can't drink. I'm saying there's a subset, which you're not necessarily a part of, obviously, of people who actually drink a lot, but yet they still make statements like, I can't drink some type of whiskey or something. It just fucks me up too bad. But you can tell that they're just not doing they're like changing the dosing a lot based on the type of alcohol that they're drinking. It's like, well, you could drink that along with some other drink or food or whatever, and it would whatever. I know that's the basic. It's really simple percentages. No, wait. So that's actually interesting. Sugar grain distillation is vastly different from corn whiskey. Same percentage and same amount. What's the difference?
It's like taking mushrooms or taking acid.
Bleh.
Sugar white is cocoa choice.
Isn't it both? They're both ethanol or whatever. Isn't it the same type of alcohol? It's not what we're talking about. Isn't it the same type of alcohol? Molecule?
Having sugar to alcohol with what you are.
Okay, but I'm just saying, isn't it the same type of alcohol molecule?
Sugar-based alcohol has an extra carbon.
Really?
You don't even drink. No. Just fucking with
All right, just checking.
only that an alpha carrier can change perception.
I guess. I think it's the ethanol molecules.
Drug have a subjective introspection.
Well, alcohol diffuses into your bloodstream really easily. The sugar, does sugar diffuse into your bloodstream? It probably does a little bit, right? Are you saying that the sugar diffusing into your bloodstream makes it?
Yes, but all the sugar is soft. No blood glucose in a Jewish life as hell insulin.
I don't know. I mean, unless maybe you could convince me different with enough evidence, but
Like smoking weed at different times depending on the plant.
sure, weed has like all sorts of different drugs that are all like weed has lots of different molecules that are all having like different effects. Alcohol actually is a specific molecule.
So that's the deal. Cats and tails.
Well, I mean, if there's other ingredients besides alcohol that are actually interacting with your brain neurologically, because here's the thing, alcohol can get through the blood brain. There's like alcohol's affecting your brain at the level of brain shit, like neurons and stuff.
When you eat with nasty like it's intoxicated.
A lot of things don't do that. I mean, a lot of food, even though you taste it or whatever, it doesn't do that. So the claim you're making is there's other stuff besides alcohol in these drinks that's interacting at the neuron level.
Yes. Yeah, like food.
Well, okay, maybe. I mean, I'm not super convinced, but I'm not saying that it's wrong either. I guess I could do an experiment and see if I can tell any difference between the two.
Don't write it on your pants. My friends can win at once and just not a dimension. Try that.
I've had tequila, it didn't do anything. Except all alcohol seems to do is kind of like slow down my perception.
When we meet, can we drink together?
Doesn't really seem to matter what kind. I don't recommend it because I don't talk as much if I drink, and then conversation becomes kind of boring.
Only organic, your stuff organic, and just run. How the hell do you think a conversation with me would be boring? here.
Well, it's kind of like saying, it's kind of like saying, would coffee affect you differently than tea, assuming you got the same caffeine concentration? And maybe some people would say, yeah, but I don't think I would notice the difference.
Coffee has a shit ton of stuff that's psychoactive. I get hooked on coffee.
Hmm.
You know how to be maybe I should have put one in the package. And drink it over coffee on the pound.
That's actually interesting.
And something other than caffeine for the top. And there's a ton of alcohol because it's had on it now. But I think also good.
You think coffee tastes good? And coffee tastes terrible. If you think coffee tastes good, no, there's something wrong with your taste processing system. It just doesn't. Coffee tastes terrible. I mean, it smells good. It smells good, but it tastes terrible. You have to put like other things in it.
A cat kid in chocolate ring but as it's so stronger than wine but it's full of cat like loud. Do you like spicy food? I do not have cat.
I don't care. Capsaicin has barely any taste to me. I don't care if it's there or not, really, in terms of the flavor or the enjoyment. But yeah, if there's too much of it to the point that it's burning my eyeballs, then no, that will not be an improvement on the food. Yeah, you're talking about capsaicin, which is one thing. There's actually a bunch of other spices, but whatever. That's what people mean when they say spicy food. And I mean, the sensation, it just doesn't matter to me. Unless it's so bad that it's painful, then it's definitely a bad thing.
I want your chili pepper in my romance coffee.
Hmm.
What's the last spicy thing you have?
They put it on those burritos that I get down the street.
And then
Why are you laughing your ass off at a burrito with capsaicin on it?
the apple.
Oh. No, I don't use drugs. I don't drink, much to the chagrin of all my users. I'm not a substance user. Unless the substance is good, healthy, nutritious food.
I don't have a force and cold heaven. I just want to see you so come at what's
Did we record that when I did the dabs? I can't remember.
I haven't done DVD. Not I don't know.
I mean, that should be in the archive somewhere.
I don't know as you could for my family.
Mhm.
Haven't was there.
It was actually pretty funny because we were playing Twister after the multi-dab episode. It's like challenge. Basically, there's no reason to be any more fucked up on that set of chemicals than I like. If you're any more fucked up than that, you're probably asleep. I was just kidding. I don't know what you're talking about, so. Yeah. Why? I was just kidding about the whole superior thing. There are lots of people who, so many respectable people in, so many, yeah, but I mean, I accept that so many people, even people I respect a lot, like Miles Davis, were drug addicts at some point in their lives. Whatever. It is what it is. Do I think weed is fool's gold? What is that? No, it's not pyrite, if that's what you mean. I mean, I'm almost sure you're making some sort of metaphorical thing. What's the metaphor? Just spell it out. Think about what? Rick is cool, or do you think weed is fool's gold? I mean, I think the way I used it, which was just to see what the effect of it was perfectly acceptable. Considering that, okay. Considering that, okay, so first I researched it to make sure it's not very addictive, and it's also doesn't really fuck your brain up on low dosage. I actually researched, there's no evidence that a small dosage of marijuana does anything whatsoever to your brain, and it's largely non-addictive. So trying it one time or just a couple times here and there just to see what it does is arguably harmless from like as much scientific data as I could find. It's harmless. Doesn't matter. So it's just seeing what it does. Now, is that retarded? Is that retarded? No. Using it every single day could start to cause a problem, I would think, for obvious reasons. Simply because any drug that is good, I mean, basically any drug that works, which means it makes you happy for no reason or it makes you whatever. Any drug that is good is ultimately going to be bad because it's going to give you a false good signal. And if you use it all the time, you're going to always have the false good signal. And if you always have a false good signal, you've got no reason to make real good signals anymore. They basically short circuited the thing in your brain that's making you accomplish everything. So yeah, using it every day probably not the best of all possible ideas. No, I mean, I actually agree it could be good with masturbation too. Yeah. That's why some. I'm not. I'm not. I mean, I'm not actually that. But if I did commit to no fap, if I committed to no masturbation, I would definitely spend more time trying to interact with real women. I guess.
You haven't masturbated in 50 years.
Okay. Do 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 do.
No masturbation was ever based and hospital history. Large gun also. Yes. Pocket low. No division of 50 years withdrawal.
I have. Let's just say I have trouble sleeping under certain circumstances.
I think it will get you become less. Experience it at the end.
Mm,
I want to give it deep.
no, I didn't understand
Okay.
about what. About what? The large comes or the this?
You don't ring. And
No, Miles Davis was more complicated than that. I mean, I read at least half of his biography. I mean, he was making music and stuff. There was just whatever. It's like there was music with or without the drug addiction. It changed, the drugs do change your brain function somewhat, whatever. I mean, he could have been Miles Davis and been a great jazz artist with or without the drugs. It would not be the same music exactly, but I mean, well, when guys put a bunch of cocaine into their body and go play music, it's not exactly the same as if they did not. Uh, but in either case, I think if cocaine didn't exist in a different world, I think he still would have made not only good music, but it would have been pretty similar music. Sure. Yeah, people do it now all the time. I mean, like, no, like, I mean, I would assume that like Wynton Marsalis I don't really know. I don't. As far as I know, he probably, other than just like alcohol or something, he doesn't strike me as somebody who would use a lot of drugs. But like more importantly, like these guys like Wynton Marsalis, I seriously doubt like uses hard drugs or anything like that. Seems like a pretty straight edge guy.
Wow. We could probably we could do you're not making kids true.
What, like right this second?
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not making kids at.
500
I'm not making kids this second.
and you nailed me.
Eh,
Rich seated spread across the
I don't think the time limit's up yet. Actually, what was that, like a month ago?
Yeah, but it is not a fun.
No, it was, dude. It was 6 months. I remember distinctly. The limit was 6 months, but it was like a month ago. Try to change that shit, man.
Not it really.
Yeah.
Over and that's on the occupation class.
No, whatever. I'm not.
I don't think so.
I'm not old yet.
Telephone in your pocket much.
Yeah.
No, he must be.
Yes.
Robot next to the balls.
The balls are fine.
I'm decondensing in the private hotel.
Really. Based on what scientific study? I don't even use 5G, but whatever. I mean, who actually uses 5G? Nobody, right? Is it like, is it out there yet?
Travel system in urban area. A firm concentration of Western males have already fallen 50%. Yes. 5G. Yes.
You use 5G? Wait, why are you using?
It's here. I get a lot of method plastic products.
Are you telling me Canada has 5G, but you're still using that crappy ass like dial up level
I
connection?
mean, we can switch between the two.
Huh.
We all know that when we did get like,
Well,
it's getting a root cause.
how fast is 5G up and down? 4G is like 1 meg up. What's 5G? Well, 4G is supposed to be more than that, but that's all it really is in practice.
National
Hmm.
user ratio 2. 5G/4G.
I don't think that's what those things mean. Ratios. Uh-huh.
What's going on?
Hey, Bollocks. Soto thinks that you use cocaine on a regular basis. Uh, yeah, you said something like that. Right, right. That I think that was the statement, something like that. Is that correct?
Yes.
You sure?
Told him. I told him to send so much on that.
Oh, damn. That sucks. That sucks. I thought you cleaned up your act. It was just like beer cam. I thought you cleaned up your act to just occasional beer cam and
Never comes back, but
Anyway, it is.
Ronnie Potter. No. I have been really clean DA. Until I am smoking on my house.
well, on this site, marijuana doesn't even really
I
count
have weed in my basement.
as a drug. This is like
He said an entire piece of his family. I've done hard stuff twice this year.
no, that's what I figured. Your rate of doing other types.
But three.
I figured that's about your rate. Soto has another
So I
theory.
looked through his
She
house.
also thinks Heidi used cocaine on every one of the streams except for the last one. It's a theory.
I think that she has done coke.
Mm, no. That's not the theory. The theory is she was using coke on every stream except the last one. Has done coke. That doesn't, if the theory is just that she has done coke, that's way more likely of being true.
I said it looks like she stopped the last stream.
Okay, that would imply that she's doing it for all the other streams.
I definitely got it bad.
I'm saying you're saying that she used it on all the other streams except the last one. That's the claim. That was the claim. That was the claim. No, all right.
And I saw that I have coke on her ass cheeks while I'm watching. You are just putting up the
I thought that was the claim. I thought that was the claim. I thought the claim was something along the lines of she acted like that based on the cocaine.
She has a nice
Don't
mouth.
give a nut
My
out,
son
no
will
digger.
get it.
El Mago.
Coke is so healthy unless it's really, really bullshit.
I don't want this to turn into another conversation. I don't want this to turn into a coke conversation. I wanted to just set up the claim. It's a theory, and then eventually we could compare it to some kind of evidence. Scientific thing.
What the heck?
I don't know what the claim was anymore.
Father had my dog.
What was
What I believe is they have done way.
if the claim was merely that she's used the drug at some point in her life? I mean, it may or may not be true, but that no longer even matters to me really.
Coke is that makes my biggest smile a really clear mouth.
I see.
Has a prescription.
Yeah.
imagine my reaction to finding that out for the first time. When I was I did that bullshit. If she was a full-time stripper, then yes, but if no, then yes for confidence.
My theory is that Heidi just has abnormal brain physiology and she's just confident as a person. That's my theory. Currently, I could be proven wrong, but that's my current theory. Yeah, it's abnormal to be that confident. It's not a bad thing, but it's abnormal. Most people don't have that level. But well, she said she does like natural hallucinogens.
She said, eventually Heidi won't be able to fall back on her looks. Okay, it's natural.
It was like cactus. It was something I hadn't heard of it before. It's like a hallucinogenic cactus or something. Yeah, probably.
So she took this time to cocaine juice and way without lying.
I just don't know.
Exactly.
We can talk to her later, maybe.
She took
I think she's just really comfortable with her body.
cocaine is a natural hallucinogen.
But hey, it's just a theory.
Heidi shows her mouth. Unique acetone and other chemicals to wash it out. I'm wearing my t-shirt like a pocket with oil time to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that gets you through the day. It doesn't matter what the job is in particular. Just that she can't show up on time. The time's already basket.
I mean, in her defense, she actually was showing up on time, and I missed it because I was asleep. And then the next day, she actually did show up on time.
That was only the last time.
I know. She definitely misses a lot of appointments on average, although,
I've been watching her a while.
yeah. I'm just saying, like, I honestly think she's got an abnormal brain, so it's that, and that's part of it.
Yeah, her showing up on time and validity the sort of period she thought. Raise me wired my cocaine usage.
Well, Soda's not even making a strong theory at this point. She's just saying she used it at some point in her life. Well, that's such a weak statement, basically.
So it's the name once again. I'm on evidence.
That statement is so weak that it's not. You mean the evidence is stronger or the theory is stronger? No, a stronger theory would be like more restrictive, like saying that she definitely used it on all the shows except for the last. What? It doesn't mean it's a better theory. Not stronger. Actually, no. When you say stronger claim, sometimes that just means that it's not that it's a better claim. It's just that it's claiming something more specific. Well, if you want to use it like that, then okay. But again, that's not her theory. Her theory is that Heidi has used cocaine at some point in her life, which, whether it's true or not, it'll have no effect. What I'm saying is that theory is so difficult to correlate to evidence that it's not. basically there's so many different possibilities that would still fit that theory that she's just used it at some point in her life that it's like everything. There's nothing to prove anymore. There's no way to like really care about what the evidence is. Why did anyone decide? It's not worth talking about. Nothing is really worth talking about or not worth talking about. What theory?
Humans developed speech for the whole purpose of manipulating others. A theory that I once did cope and maybe still does.
Well, you
Speech always existed and it will take
you believe that that's
a theory that with face ID all.
wait, I believe so theory is worthy of investigation. Yeah, I mean, it'd be marginally interesting to ask her that, but that kind of it sidesteps the whole question because she walks in and she's like, she's like super okay with being naked and running around naked and stuff. So the thing is that just her intrinsic personality, or is it because she's on a drug? That's to me, that's kind of like the interesting question, and that's not addressed by just has she used coke at some point in her life in general. But anyways, whatever.
If it's good enough for Miles Davis, then it's good enough for Ivy. We want someone in the Hampshire.
All right, that's enough.
We'll introduce them. Asterisk uncomfortable silence asterisk.
Are you uncomfortable?
At least with doesn't molest her. Too much.
I don't molest at all.
He's contemplating the fact that he's been profiting off a bad child.
I'm not profiting off of anything. You mean she's profiting? There's no evidence that she's got a bad childhood either. So far, we could ask her. Not really. Plus, it doesn't, dude. Like, yeah. I mean, I don't really buy. I don't necessarily buy this thing that people who take their clothes off for money have mental issues or childhood problems. I just don't really buy it. I mean, I know that some of them do, because like out of any population, some of them have that. But I mean, go on Chatterbait right now and look at all the girls who are on there naked, and a lot of them seem to have pretty normal psychology to me. So I'm just not seeing the correlation. Well, if you're really good at pretending to be normal, then you are basically normal, right? No, I don't know. The more I look into it, the more normal the people seem to be that are doing it. In terms of just like being healthy, I'm not saying that they're completely normal. They've got less inhibition than most people have. That's really all you need to be like a porn star. You got to have less inhibition than most people have, one way or another. I mean, mainly for the girl side. Yeah. I was only talking about the girl side, obviously. No, most can't do it. They would have too many bad feelings to deal with. No, you're just looking at it in that you're looking at it in a very sort of deranged way where you're saying like you have to be damaged to be able to have sex on camera, and it's not what you're saying like isn't really logical. My way is deranged. Uh, no, I don't use any drugs. Straight edge. That's why I get so much crap. I know. Insightful. Well,
longer with a run.
Right,
Crack
okay.
is a run.
Crack is a drug. Really?
No crack is like air.
Are you really just
Fast crack is a
gonna
run.
make the word drug
Methamphetamine is
so
better.
general that it applies to everything? Water.
Methamphetamine fast crack.
Water is a drug.
No run doesn't apply to crack. With you do not live.
I drink water.
I am talking from the all and speaking. Computer generated water. It's a with how do you put up with the robots always roving around? The dogs never in the bathroom.
True.
Like I step back. But without the penis.
Do you think? So what other look?
You're good now.
Where's your data?
Lazy with that found ways was with the robots.
This is what I know. This is what I want to know, boss. Like, do you have some kind of like data on, the occurrence of abuse correlated to what people using ChatterBait? Or like, okay, like ChatterBait streamer correlated to abuse as a child. Do you have that peer-reviewed journal article somewhere?
It's too early.
All right, hold on.
Catherine is sexually loose behavior.
In a cohort of drug-using youth, dude. That means that, if I understand that right, they selected a bunch of drug users and then did analysis on them only, right?
73% of women physical abuse. 32% sexual.
What about the ones that weren't drug users?
6.8% emotional.
No, you got to buy a sample. It says right in the title, bro.
84.5%
It says right in the title it's a bias sample.
Yeah, that's what the goal was. With this. Choosing 73% of children with physically abused. In a cohort of all children.
In a cohort of drug-using youth only.
Drug using. And sex working.
No, it doesn't. This doesn't mean anything because it's in a cohort of drug-using youth.
You're saying that children together on a group that way.
I'm saying you need a random cohort. No, I'm saying you need if you're gonna do the link between.
I'm saying 73% is high enough.
I'm saying if you're gonna look at a link between sex work and childhood maltreatment,
You don't even need to look at the general.
you should do it from a random selection, not from a cohort of drug-using people.
Okay, Matt.
Definition of RIF.
You don't ring. everybody knows this. And they say it with things like ammunition. And 53% of intentional attempts were and drug addicts. And serious physical abuse. Maybe 6.8% on emotional abuse, maybe 4.5% on neglect. The stats speak volumes.
Let me retire.
93% emotional neglect is your ammunition.
Dude, at least find a paper that actually correlates the two things. At least find a paper that correlates the two things without choosing from a highly biased subset. Otherwise, you're not saying anything.
93%. That's what I'm saying.
You're not. Okay. That's what you're writing, but it's not. You probably could find a better paper than this. You probably could find a better paper than this. Yeah. Well, it's okay. If I'm helping people out that were abused as children by giving them good jobs or whatever. I mean, whether that's true or not doesn't matter. But I still don't think that paper. I still don't think that paper is any good for proving your point.
Well, stop, you're not stronger.
The statistics are so ridiculously high. But it makes it up.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make the argument at all.
93%. Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. Because it's a highly biased sample.
Your karma comes in control.
No, you can't. When you use a biased sample, it doesn't really work for what you're trying to prove.
Why not?
Why not? Because
With your retarded.
this is drug using youth, which means and they're not talking about like caffeine. So they already have like an issue. You could probably find a link between sex work and drug use. Right? I mean, you've got a highly biased sample, and the bias is significant. It'll affect your results. And if the anonymous guy doesn't understand that, that's because he's dumbass. But you should know better. I mean, you should know that a selection bias affects. It doesn't matter. It could be 100%. It could be 100%. It's still affected by a bias. This is among drug-using, street-involved youth. That's not so. When you go on ChatterBait and look at the people that are streaming, these are not a bunch of and generally these are not a bunch of drug-using, street-involved youth. They're just not. They're like middle-class women sitting in some house somewhere doing this thing. It's just this. It's an extremely biased sample, and you're trying to use that to prove something. It's just complete bullshit, man. Yeah, whatever. Are you still black? I was just saying the study was done among drug-using, street-involved youth. Okay, that's an extremely biased sample. If you go on ChatterBait and look at the women streaming there, those are mostly, you can tell just by looking at them, most of them are not like drug-using, street-involved youth. You're taking a highly biased sample, all right, and then you're drawing conclusions from that. If you don't understand why that's stupid, you don't understand anything about probability. It doesn't, we're not talking about what the number is. We're just talking about whether it's so biased that it's bullshit. Yeah, it could easily be biased by 80%. Yeah. It could be biased by whatever. I mean, so once you start talking about drug-using, street-involved youth, I mean, the likelihood of you having a history of abuse or whatever goes up anyway, whether you're in sex work or not. This hypothesis is definitely not proven correct. But anyways, I think you could probably find a paper where they don't have that selection bias. You could probably actually find a paper where they don't have that selection bias and still find some correlation. No, that's not why I concede. I'm just saying that all I'm saying is that paper doesn't prove the point, but there might be another one that does.
It was 4 days.
And if there is another one that does, that's okay.
Where is a pancake?
No.
Paint your hands. Sing a song to piano man. Not only the philosopher of melody.
Which non? How was your experience as an anonymous user?
How did I get legal? Oh no.
Well, I'm not going to say it's not really that hard to hide, but I will say it's surprising how much if people are just honest in their typing, how easy it is to like identify who they are with just like one or two messages.
Rick home and harder.
Uh, That's not Bollocks. I don't know where Bollocks went.
Rick, you are not partying.
You don't Rick.
That would be Bollocks. So that's Soto challenging. That's Soto channeling Bollocks, or vice versa.
It's just eating you. More so. Shama did for not your mental.
So you've been kind of quiet, Soto.
You two minutes from make a life. So a bit after the period so
I mean, for the last week, of course. Not for the last 5 minutes.
to the point.
You want me to the point? I'm just curious.
You are
Oh, I'm to the point. I wasn't sure if you were asking me to get to the point or
Sing happy
saying I
birthday
am to the
Dad.
point.
things move too fast.
Oh. So that's why the quiet.
93% of it's like poker. Probably.
Hmm.
93% of it looks like a big tree.
All right. Well, I'll keep most. I mean, this is
I am the walrus.
since I'm actually recording this stuff. I'm gonna
I'm dead man. Yeah,
keep it simple. Is it black again?
cool to catch you. And you're back.
See, on my end, it just kind of stays together.
That with your
I
eyes.
don't make my life like a big things. Not.
Hold on.
What else?
Hold on a second.